Good evening, everyone. I'm delighted to welcome you to today's webinar. Our focus today is on comprehensive reporting with CMRT, EMRT, and AMRT. Conflict minerals reporting has become a critical part of ensuring ethical and sustainable supply chain. It's a topic that impacts business globally. Thank you for joining us. I promise this session will be insightful and interactive. Before we dive in, let me quickly go over a few housekeeping details. All participants, except for the speakers, are muted for the duration of the session. This webinar is being recorded and we'll share the recordings with you afterward. If you have questions, please let us know in the comment section or email us. We will make sure to respond promptly. Finally, don't forget to fill out the survey at the end to receive additional resources. Let me introduce myself. I am Rajiv S, Senior Engineer for Regulatory Compliance at APA Engineering. Joining me today is my colleague Kalavendan P, an experienced engineer specializing in regulatory compliance. Together, we will guide you through the complexities of conflict minerals reporting and share actionable insights. Let me give you a brief introduction to APA Engineering. We have been around since 2000 and have a strong global presence. Our expertise spans sourcing, compliance, engineering, and software solutions. In compliance, we handle everything from IMDS and REACH to conflict minerals and Prop 65 regulations, etc. We are here to make compliance simpler and more effective for your business. At APA, we offer comprehensive solutions to meet global compliance requirements. Our software tool helps address chemical, packaging, and biocide regulations efficiently. We also provide tailored support for complex needs like VOC and SKIP compliance. Our goal is to ensure your regulatory journey is smooth and successful. Here is a detailed overview of today's session. We will begin by exploring the global impact of conflict minerals and their importance in supply chain compliance. Next, we will discuss the roles and responsibilities of suppliers in ensuring compliance, a breakdown of the CMRT template and the reporting process it involves, highlighting common errors made when completing the CMRT and tips to avoid them, an introduction to the AMRT template and how it addresses extended reporting needs, overview of the AMRT template, its purpose and its application, insights into evolving customer demands, including transparency and product level reporting, guidance on adapting to the latest trends and strategies for effective compliance, how APA engineering can assist with regulatory compliance reporting, and more. Finally, key takeaways from today's session and the next steps you can implement immediately. Let's dive into the first section, introduction. To begin, what are conflict minerals? These include tin, tantalum, tungsten, and gold, commonly referred to as 3TG minerals. Unfortunately, they are often linked to armed conflicts and human rights abuses, especially in regions like Democratic Republic of Congo. This makes it essential for companies to ensure their supply chains are conflict free. Let's discuss their broader impact. Human rights violations like child labor and exploitation, environmental damage, including deforestation and water contamination, economic challenges as these minerals perpetuate instability and poverty in affected regions. These points underline the ethical importance of responsible sourcing. A prime example is the Democratic Republic of Congo. Despite being rich in minerals, the DRC has faced decades of violence fueled by conflict minerals trade. This highlights the need for collective responsibility to break the cycle of poverty and corruption. As we move forward, let's explore how companies can play a role in driving change. Companies are expected to adopt due diligence process based on OECD guidelines. In the US regulations like Dodd-Frank Act Section 1502 mandate transparency in sourcing. Supplier plays a crucial role here by providing accurate and timely information to support compliance efforts. This collaboration ensures ethical practices throughout the supply chain. Next, expectations of companies from suppliers. Let's now discuss what companies expect from their suppliers, focusing on key areas that ensure ethical sourcing and compliance. Suppliers are required to disclose the source and presence of conflict minerals in the product parts or components they provide. They must utilize standardized reporting tools such as Conflict Minerals Reporting Template CMRT, the Extended Mineral Reporting Template EMRT, and the Additional Minerals Reporting Template AMRT. These templates help establish traceability and ensure transparency in the supply chain. Second, traceability. Suppliers should have a robust traceability system to track the origin of minerals used in their products. This involves tracing minerals from the smelter back to the mine, ensuring that the minerals are not sourced from conflict zones. Third, engagement with suppliers. Companies expect suppliers to actively collaborate within the supply chain. The goal is to promote transparency and adopt responsible sourcing practices. Suppliers should be proactive in responding to queries and sharing data accurately. Next is corrective action. If a supplier is found to be sourcing from high-risk region, they must take corrective measures. This includes finding alternative smelter, conflict-free sources, or validating the materials they are sourcing through recognized standards. As we see here, suppliers have significant responsibilities. Their cooperation is essential to ensure compliance and contribute to ethical practices throughout the supply chain. Let's keep these expectations in mind as we continue exploring how companies can enhance collaboration and compliance effort. With this, I request my colleague to take over.
Thank you, Raju. Hello, everyone. This is Kalavendan here. In the next few slides, we will discuss the various sections of CMRT and the process that must be followed. So, what is a conflict minerals reporting template? CMRT is a free standardized reporting template created by the RMI. This template is widely used to transfer information between companies and their suppliers, including details about the mineral country of origin and smelters and refiners are being utilized. The CMRT is a global tool used across all industries and is very important to comply with the conflict minerals regulation. Next slide. Yeah. CMRT has broadly 5 different sections. The first section contains the company information. Here we need to provide the company name and most importantly the scope of the declaration, whether it is a company level, product level or user defined level report. And then contact details and the effective date, which is the date this declaration is effective. The second section contains the due diligence questions. There are 1 to 8 questions, and these are interrelated questions. Meaning, when you answer one question as yes and another as no, then it should be correct logically. I will discuss this in the upcoming slides. The third section contains company level questions. It has 8 questions from QA to QH uh, that are required to be answered based on company's conflict minerals policy. And the fourth section contains the smelter list tab, which requires a list of 3TG smelters present in your supply chain. The fifth section is the product list tab, which needs to be entered only if the declaration scope is selected as a product level. Next slide. Next is the due diligence steps. It's an elaborate process, but we try to simplify it into 5 steps: supplier identification, supplier engagement, data collection, due diligence and verification, and finally reporting and disclosure. The first step is the identification of relevant suppliers. The company must identify the list of products and their respective suppliers from where they suspect 3TG may be present. Many companies, they send a request to all the suppliers for the 3TG, but if you do scoping, it can eliminate a lot of out of scope suppliers. Followed by supplier engagement, where you request your suppliers for the CMRT. You have to collect the CMRTs from suppliers, and then you need to perform the due diligence of the data once you receive the CMRT from your suppliers, and verify logically all the questions from Q1 to Q8. Lastly, consolidate the final report once you received all the CMRTs, and verify due diligence before you submit the response to your customers or as a form ST to SEC. Next slide. Here we will discuss the common mistakes committed while completing the CMRT. The first will be about the declaration scope. When you select company level in the declaration, it does not require part numbers to be provided on the product list tab. And when the product level declaration is selected, it should have part numbers to be provided on the product list worksheet. It's also mentioned there in the template. Completion required only if product level scope is selected. And if you select user defined level, it should have a description that describes the scope to which the report is applicable. For example, you can say that declaration applies to one particular location of your organization, like that. Next slide. And next will be about due diligence questions. This section is important, and as mentioned before, these questions are interlinked. If you answer yes for any metal in question 1 and question 2, then Q3 to Q8 are to be filled for that metal, and you must provide the list of smelters on the smelter list tab. And if you received 100% response for any 3TG in question 6, then question 3 and 4 should not be answered as unknown. So logically, this is an error, as you already received 100% responses. And when you answer no to any 3TG in questions 3 and 4, you should have obtained a 100% supplier response in question 6. And also, if you answer yes to any 3TG in questions 3 and 4, you can include the smelter IDs in the comments, and it is a good practice. Next slide. Yeah, Q5 is related to recycle or scrap source. So if your answer is yes to any 3TG in question 5, then you are required to fill column fee for the respective 3TG smelter in the smelter list worksheet, and select yes for question 7 if you have identified all these smelters supplying 3TG in your supply chain, which means in Q6 is 100%. And select yes for question 8 if all applicable smelter information you received is reported in the CMRT. Next slide. Here I will discuss question 8 to question 8. These are company level questions and need to be answered based on the company's conflict minerals policy. Question H is based on your company's disclosure of the conflict minerals report. So if the response to question H is S with a SEC or S with the European Union or S with both the SEC and the European Union, then it is necessary to respond to questions A and B with yes, which signifies that responsible mineral sourcing policy have been established. Since your company has to file a disclosure, you must have already established a conflict minerals policy. Next slide. Here we'll discuss the smelter list tab, and it is a very important part. We have a few methods to complete the smelter list sheet. First is smelter entry by smelter ID, which is the most preferred method. If the smelter ID is available, please input the list of smelter IDs in column A. Now, once the smelter IDs are entered, the smelter details will automatically populate till the column J, and the column D, which is the smelter name column, will be displayed in a grayed out format. And next method will be copy paste of smelter entry. And if you have a list of smelter IDs or a combination of metal and smelter names, you are permitted to copy and paste them into the appropriate fields. And after entering all the smelter information, ensure to verify and eliminate any duplicate smelters. Also, if you have a smelter that is not recognized by RMI, then you should select smelter not listed in column C. This will allow you to enter the name of the smelter, the column D, and this field is mandatory, so provide the required details and as many other details as possible. You should also encourage the smelter to register and become an RMI recognized smelter. Next slide. Here we will discuss the extended minerals reporting template. EMRT is a free standardized reporting template developed by the RMI to collect information about the cobalt and mica supply chain. The EMRT is a result of consolidation of cobalt reporting template and mica reporting template. It was designed as per the OECD due diligence guidance. So the EMRT scope is currently limited to cobalt and natural mica supply chains only. And many companies, they started using EMRT to collect information from their suppliers. Next slide. So EMRT has 5 sections as we have in this EMRT. So the first section contains the company information, and the second section contains the due diligence questions. In EMRT there are 7 questions, but in CMRT we have 8 questions. And the third section contains company level questions. It has 7 questions from QA to QG, but in CMRT we have 8 questions. The fourth section contains the smelter list tab, which requires a list of cobalt and mica smelters present in your supply chain. And the fifth section is the product list tab, which needs to be entered only if the declaration scope is chosen as a product level. And both the smelter list and the product list, they are similar to what we have in the CMRT. Next slide. Here we'll discuss the additional minerals reporting template, which is recently released template. AMRT is released to identify and collect due diligence information for minerals not covered by the CMRT and EMRT, and it is also developed by the RMI. And previously it was known as the pilot reporting template PRT, and it has been renamed as the AMRT. See, the goal of AMRT is to support increased supply chain transparency, and it is the intention that over the time additional minerals will be added to the EMRT as determined by the RMI minerals reporting template team. Next slide. So AMRT, it has 6 different sections, whereas CMRT and EMRT have 5 sections. So The first section here, AMRT, contains the company information, and the second section contains due diligence questions. In AMRT, there are only two questions, and also we don't have company level questions section in AMRT. The third section will be the mineral scope. It may be completed by the requester to provide details on the given minerals or metals. The fourth section contains the smelter list tab, which requires a list of smelters present in your supply chain. The fifth section contains the mines list tab, which requires a list of mines present in your supply chain. The sixth section is the product list tab, which needs to be entered only if the declaration scope is selected as a product level. Next slide. So this is the mineral scope tab. The requester can provide a list of minerals or metals that are in scope. At present, the user can provide up to 10 minerals or metals. And the mine list tab is the same as the smelter list tab. It can be used to provide the list of mines corresponding to the given minerals or metals. So before moving to the next topic, I would like to mention upcoming updates. I begin with EMRT. We have an interesting update on EMRT. RMI will release EMRT 2.0 in April 2025, which will include the addition of 4 new minerals to the extended minerals reporting template. They are copper, a natural graphite, lithium, and nickel. This update is primarily aimed at supporting companies' reporting requirements under the European Union battery regulation. The next version of the CMRT is anticipated to be released in the spring of 2025, and the next version of AMRT is anticipated to be released in the fall of 2025. Now I will pass the presentation back to Raju.
Thank you, Kalai, for your explanations on CMRT, EMRT, and AMRT. Next, let's dive into how customer requirements are evolving. Increased transparency demands. Customers are pushing for greater visibility into the sourcing of materials. They expect detailed insights into smelters and their associated risk. Next, focus on high-risk smelter. Companies are being asked to identify and eliminate smelters operating in high-risk regions. This involves more rigorous due diligence process. Next, product level reporting. Customers want product-specific compliance report rather than generalized data. This requires enhanced reporting mechanism and supplier collaboration. Next, challenges faced by suppliers. Many suppliers struggle to meet these new demands due to outdated systems or lack of automation. Opportunity for improvement. Finally, by addressing these challenges, suppliers can strengthen their customer relationships and align with global best practices. These requirements not only reflect regulations, but also highlight a shift towards more ethical sourcing practices. The one notable trend is a product level reports. Shifting towards a product specific reporting, customers want to know exactly which smelters are linked to their products. This requires automation and advanced tools to streamline data collection and reporting. By adopting these practices, suppliers can build stronger customer support. Next, best practices for 2025 transparency. Transparency is no longer optional, it's a competitive advantage. Consumers and investors prioritize ethical sourcing. Technology and collaboration will be a key drivers to achieving supply chain transparency. Companies that embrace these trends will lead the way in responsible sourcing. A call to action. Ethical sourcing is a journey that starts with actionable steps. Begin with an internal assessment. Evaluate your current sourcing policies and identify gaps. Engage with your suppliers. Build relationships to ensure transparency and collaboration. Next, leverage technology. Use tools to map and monitor your supply chain effectively. Educate your team, providing training on compliance and ethical sourcing practices. Set achievable goals. Commit to a specific milestone for improving your supply chain. Remember, even small changes can lead to significant process. Let's work together to make an impact. So what APA support? APA engineering is here to support you every step of the way. Here how we can help. Assessment of our current practices. We analyze your existing compliance efforts and recommend practical improvements. Supplier outreach. We assist in collecting and validating conflict minerals reports from your suppliers. Smelter analytics. With the tools like APA Autogen CM, we help identify compliant smelter and consolidate smelter data for CMRTs, EMRT and AMRT as well. Regulatory updates. Stay ahead with your monitoring services that provide timely updates on challenging regulations. Next, custom solution. Whether it's a project management or tailored training, we deliver solutions specific to your needs. By partnering with APA, you can focus on your core business while ensuring compliance and ethical practices. Conclusion. As we conclude, let's recap. Conflict minerals have a significant social, economic, and environmental impacts. Compliance is not just a legal obligation, it's an ethical imperative. By taking proactive steps, business can make a meaningful difference. I encourage all of you to start your compliance journey today. This slide summarizes what we have discussed so far. Remember, aligning your sourcing practices with ethical standards benefits both your business and society. So it's time for question and answers. If you have any questions, please drop out in the comment section. Yeah, one interesting question came. Is it illegal to obtain minerals from conflict zone? No, it's not an illegal to obtain minerals from conflict zone. In fact, sourcing minerals from smelters and miners not involved in conflict in the DRC and other countries. The goal of conflict minerals legalization is not to prevent sourcing minerals from these areas of the world, but rather to provide full transparency to facilitate responsible sourcing and ensure they also participate in RMI compliance program and make themselves compliant. One more question come up. Are there other high-risk categories beyond Dodd-Frank Act covered countries and Kahara? That was an interesting question. Customers may flag smelters listed in your company surveys that go beyond the scope of Dodd-Frank and Kahara in response to expanding ESG programs, global sanctions, and new regulatory requirements. Smelters connected to forced labors, smelters on the OPEC sanction list for the US companies, and smelters sourcing from EU Kaharas or for EU companies should be considered as high risk for them. Thanks for the questions. As a closing remarks, thank you all for your time and active participation. Don't forget to fill out our survey and access the additional resources we have prepared. If you have any further questions, please reach out using the contact details on this slide. Have a great day. Thank you, everyone.